Hi, and welcome to Real Clear Fetish Talks Real Clear Play, a podcast that dives into sobriety, kink, and everything in between. Today we're going stateside to San Francisco, hence I've done the highway patrol outfit for tonight, and we are talking with Sampson. Hi, Sampson.
Hi, how's it going?
Very good, and you?
Good, good. It's so wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. I've been excited to have you on. I'm a big admirer of the other channel you're on. What's the safe word? I've been following that for years. I know you're a little slightly newer addition to it, but it's very enjoyable to watch you on there.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, that show's a lot of fun. I love Amp and Christopher, our wonderful family.
Yeah, it's such a good channel. So educational in most bats. And also it's really fun because sex has to be fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it always feels like the exterior of kink is viewed as this big, heavy, dom sub thing. But I don't know. I love keeping it kind of light and silly, and it gives you kind of a perspective of the person behind that facade sometimes.
Absolutely. Like with every episode I do four standard questions at the start, and then I'll just see where it goes. To start with, names, pronouns, and title.
My name is Sampson, or I go by Mindfuck. That's kind of the two dual sides of myself. Typically, Mindfuck is more of the hypno kink side of things. Pronouns are he, him. And title, I don't have a title, but I feel like I should make one. I should be like, the only surefire way to realign your temporal mandibular joint, Samson!
Oh God, he has sound effects as well. Oh, great. Oh, you're putting me to shame.
Yeah.
I don't have sound effects. Only
No,
only
not
the
it.
screams of the subs in my cage trying to get out.
That's incredible. No, I'm a streamer, and so yeah, I've always got to have the sound effects ready to go.
Do you know what? I did the Instagram live before, but the bandwidth on Instagram is so hit and miss. So the
Yeah.
quality goes up and down depending on the night you're on. And this is much more controlled. So, and plus we can edit this, so it's perfect. So, second question, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live here in San Francisco. I've been here for almost 4 years. I am very privileged, like you said, to work with some wonderful people on a project that I feel very passionate about, which is what's the safe word, keeping kink accessible. And it's one of the things that I love about YouTube is you can kind of go direct to source. And in a world where it's getting more and more difficult, especially stateside, to get anything queer, anything kink related, anything subversive to the cultural norms that are kind of trying to be pressed on us, getting something directly to an audience that's trying to learn more in an educational and fun format is something that I care a lot about. I do a lot of hypno work. I do a lot of video editing. I'm a kind of out and proud sex worker. I've done a lot of work around, especially in my time when I was living in Salt Lake. That's where I was born and raised. I've done a lot of work with reducing HIV stigma, being on the board for the state of Utah's HIV Commission, doing a lot of projects that way. Yeah, I've had some really wonderful experiences around many people in my life leading me into the person that I am now. And yeah, I feel like in terms of sobriety and kink, that's a project and theme that I've kind of just been more interested in, I think, recently as I've been getting older.
I think it's naturally, as older you get, you kind of broaden your horizon and your experiences, especially if you, as you mentioned, you're a sex worker and so on. There is a like a therapeutic aspect of exploring things. You mentioned in your text that you work around sober, curious people as well. But we'll
Yeah.
dive into that a little bit later on. Next question. Completely sober, clear-headed, or social drinker?
I don't drink. Yeah, that's kind of my thing, and I say that I guess with hesitation, just because I think it means something different to everyone.
Mm.
Like in the last year, I think I've had a drink, like when I was in Barcelona, right? Like it has to be a really specific circumstance, but I just generally find that it's not for me. Yeah.
That's really good. And what is clear play to you and why is it important?
I feel like it's interesting in the kink realm where we are trying to bring out the most intense emotions, sensations, and kind of feelings in each other and in these connections that we're having. And so a lot of the time, I think the temptation can be to synthetically manufacture those very, very intense experiences can be very enticing. It makes a lot of sense. One of my favorite examples of this, I highly recommend this read. It's a book called Blue Movie by a good friend, Stephen Ferris, by Blue Bailey. This is
Former guest of mine on the pod.
yeah. Oh, wonderful. And I think for a lot of people who are kinksters and maybe have any feelings or questions about sobriety, reading that book, I I have never been simultaneously so scared and had the most confused boner of my life. Like it's like it's so and that really pushes those buttons of like it's hot, but it's scary and fucked up, and it feels so wrong, and that's what makes it feel right. And so I think that's why a lot of people, yeah, can get into substances. So to me, clear play, to summarize, I think just means being able to share an intimate side of yourself with somebody and not needing, yeah, any substances or reliance on anything to be your full self.
So you mentioned that you're from Utah. How was it as a complete, I'm probably completely naive to this, but we all, at least in Europe, we have an expression of what Utah might be. Can you demystify a little bit how it might have been being gay growing up in Utah?
Of course, yeah, no, I think sadly a lot of the time people's perceptions or first thought about Utah is pretty accurate.
Ah, fine.
It's yeah, very very conservative. I grew up in the most densely populated LDS community in the world. It's a little town that's about an hour south of Salt Lake City, kind of in the boonies of Utah County. Physically gorgeous. I mean, you're just surrounded by mountains on all sides, and it feels like you are in the Swiss Alps. Like it's beautiful. But yeah, it's very much like The Hills Have Eyes. It's very culty. Your entire life is really surrounded by the church, the Mormon LDS church, for those of you unfamiliar with Utah. And it's it's very strange. They're very very conservative, but it's very like stab you in the back kind of
Mm.
conservative. Where I think a lot of people in the South experience this as well, where they'll be so pleasant to your face. And then behind closed doors, like leaving awful, like proclamation to the family pamphlets on your doorstep. They're, like it's pretty intense. So there were pros and cons. I'm very grateful. Ultimately, I've made a lot of peace with where I'm from, and having it set me up for where and who I am now. I'm extremely grateful for it, especially because in the process of leaving, I got to keep my immediate family, which is so rare. It is so
Mm.
rare that people who are leaving that space and religion get to keep their loved ones, their close biological family. So yeah, it was challenging. It was really tough. I moved out of home at 16. I had a really turbulent kind of end of home life. And interestingly enough, my parents' marriage was also collapsing at that time due to kind of faith crisis and
Mm.
issues between them, and substance abuse. A lot of the times with Mormons, I see when the rug gets pulled out from under them, when that shelf finally breaks, of all the things that they've been stacking on for years of like, oh, well, that's just a historical inaccuracy, or that's just when that finally gets pulled out from under them, the pendulum swings the entire other way, and suddenly they're drinking 7 nights a week. They're willing to try any drug that somebody puts in
Mm.
front of them. The whole paradigm by which they've been living their life turns on its head. And that can obviously have very volatile results when you're in your 40s and experiencing that, as opposed to most of the world fucking around and finding out when they're like 21, 22. So yeah, that was kind of growing up in Utah.
Yeah, it's well, that lives up to kind of what I might have had in my head. I think the impression I have is from Book of Mormon,
Yes.
and is it Mary? I can't remember the actress's name from Angels in America, the pill popping wife, who doesn't quite know how to cope with New York. That's
Yes.
kind of the impressions, and you're kind of confirming some of the stuff I've been thinking. But sometimes it's nice to talk to someone who's from there and has experienced it, and it's nice to hear that you still have your family. So are they not in the religion anymore, or are they just accepted you for who you are?
Yeah, no, my immediate family has all left, and so they're not anymore associated with the religion. And then all of my extended family is still in. So aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, all of that.
So no, so it's only immediate family you talk to now.
Yeah, pretty much. It's only my immediate family that I really let into having any real notion of my life.
Mm.
Although it is really fun to go back to Utah for like I had my cousin's wedding this June, and I was a tiny like little string bean twink, like really really little, and I've gotten significantly larger in terms of just going
If
to the gym and
if it if anyone is listening or watching, go and look at Samson's Instagram. Scroll all the way down to the start, and
It's
then now.
it's kind of a horror story. It's yeah, like the side by side is very very funny, but in a lot of ways it's a combination of having people who are around me who are kinky, and then also interestingly sobriety, because sobriety has led me to bodybuilding. You can't be bodybuilding and be fucked up all the time. They are incongruent with each other. So in a lot of ways, sobriety is to the reason why I feel like I've reached this point where I'm very happy with where I am at. Just physically, body wise, I'm happier with my body than I've ever been. But yeah, being this little string bean and then going back and seeing that extended family and having people be like, "What the fuck? Who is that?" Like
Like, who
reintroducing
had a
themselves
glow
to
up?
me. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, interesting that I had a glow up when I left this really oppressive religion. So
Hmm.
strange.
Wonder why? And he sips
Yeah.
his tea.
Yeah. But that's none of my business.
Absolutely. So, how did you get into what does it say on here? The Utah's Board for HIV Prevention. How did that come about?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to be involved with kind of the MSM, men who have sex with men community in Utah through an organization called Black Boots, through a partner that I had at that time. And then fortunately, I actually had a doctor who, fabulous, her name is Susanna Keishan. She's one of the lead doctors in Utah right now at a place called Clinic 1A, which is the University of Utah's program for kind of dealing with PrEP and now all kinds of other, we have Doxy and all of that kind of thing. But she's always been the infectious disease leader for kind of the whole LGBTQ community in Utah. And has just been a champion. She's really wonderful. I highly recommend looking into her work. But yeah, I got involved with them as a volunteer, and it was very informative looking at kind of this state-funded institution, just seeing, it's kind of like the DMV, right? There's people of every background there, and in Utah, having the large majority of those people who were kind of appointed to that position still being very conservative, or having a lot of fears, or a lot of, I think if you grew up in the 70s or 80s and you didn't know if touching a doorknob was going to give you AIDS, or sitting on a toilet seat, or what happened to Uncle Ron, why did he just, disappear? Like, there's a lot of fear and a lot of stigma around it. And so I think I was really lucky in a lot of ways to be this kind of young, fresh, at the time 18, 19-year-old who was not only learning but also simultaneously able to hopefully make new connections with some folks from a different generation, to show them that it's not like that anymore. We have a lot of options now.
Yeah, it's nice to hear like younger people be involved with that. I remember when I was 18, 20, I used to go and get regular HIV tests, and my doctor, because I went to my local surgery or doctor's office, because where I lived there was no sexual health clinic, so at least I wasn't aware of them. And the doctor was always very impressed with me because it's like I don't get any 18-year-olds coming in and getting tested. I was just like, well, I do, and I want to know what my status is. I want to know I'm safe and I'm not giving it on to someone else. But I think at least as gay people, we're quite responsible. Like here, we completely curbed the monkeypox outbreak by getting
Oh yeah.
vaccinated right away.
Yeah, no, I mean, even just seeing the reception of it in San Francisco and watching at, like, 5 a.m. And people made this cute little thing of it. Like, it was, hey, we're gonna, I'm gonna make some breakfast crepes and some coffee. Meet at my house at 4:45 a.m. We'll have some food, and then I'm gonna, take us all in my car over to SF General, and we're gonna wait in line and hopefully get the vaccine. And if not, we'll try again next week. Like, gays are just, I don't know,
Oh,
queer
we
people in
rallied
general.
together, so it didn't actually
Yeah.
become a massive thing. Yes, there was some prominent people who are quite open about having it, which was great because it's important for representation and also this is what I'm going through, this is the symptoms and so on. So it was, yeah, the UK public did not suffer under monkeypox because of the gay community.
Yeah, we squashed that real quick. It's pretty cool to look back on and be like, man, how are we having like measles issues in the US again? Because all these straight people are not on the same, getting the
Well, you
memo.
did just, well, did you just take away the vaccine mandate?
Oh my god. Oh god, it's so fucked up. Everything
Yeah.
here is so messed up right now. And yeah, it's bad.
Well, we are taking refugees. I have a fold-out sofa for anyone who wants to come over from the States for a break, just for a break.
Yes.
I can't offer citizenship because I'm not a citizen myself. but I can definitely offer a bed if you want a break from the States.
Yeah, my God. I did feel that. I traveled a little bit this year to Japan and to Barcelona, in Spain and France, and just the feeling in general, not only just politically, but also like, man, there is nobody within a 500-foot radius of me that has a gun right now. Like, there's a pretty low chance, as opposed to my everyday here, that someone's just gonna whip out a gun and start firing. Like, the U.S.
It's
is fucked right now.
as Europeans looking from here and in, it's mind-boggling. But
Yeah.
then we have our own version of Trump now over here,
Sure.
getting quite far like with popularity, and we're going much more right politically. And I would say the UK is copying a lot of what's happening in the States. But
Mm-hmm.
I think also there's a lot of campaigning that's coming from the States over here. It's just sneaking in the back door. So it's interesting and also frightening,
Yeah.
what's going on.
Just in a lot of ways, I think sometimes what's going on in the world also just contributes to people feeling so insecure that that can become a sobriety issue as well. Like COVID was a great example of this. Like a
Mm.
lot of people struggled with relapsing and having substance abuse issues. Just when the state of the world gets so crazy.
Oh, I tend not to watch the news because it's
Mhm.
just so depressing. Of course, I keep myself somewhat updated, but
Mhm.
no, I can't put the news on. It's just too depressing, and yeah, I'd rather look at Pretty Men in Leather, to be honest.
Yes.
Without being completely disconnected what's going on in the world, of course, you kind of have to be tuned in a little bit, but I try to limit my intake when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's that tough question of like, one of my favorite musicals, Cabaret, right? Is like, can we really just hide in the virtual version of the Kit Kat Club, and I can just block everything that's whatever, or there's everyone has a different barometer for it and where we can be most useful while also taking care of ourselves. But it's
The lovely first act of Cabaret. The second act, not so much.
not so much.
It
No.
becomes a bit dark very quick. I went to see it on my birthday here in the UK.
Mhm.
One of my best mates is playing Herr Schultz in it at the moment, so I wanted to
Yeah.
go and support him. Fantastic production, absolute fantastic production. So you're from Utah, but now living in San Francisco. When did you make the move, and why San Francisco?
I made the move in June of 2022, and it's funny. I think starting from a pretty young age, I would take my car and just drive to San Francisco from Utah, which is like a 12-hour drive. It's pretty lengthy, and I really honestly can't pinpoint a reason why. It's not somewhere that I visited growing up. It's not somewhere that I feel like I have a lot of historical ties to or reasoning why that was the place that really pulled me. But I visited a number of times and really just fell in love with it. And this feeling of being able to walk on the street and the cruising culture, even just the friendliness of it, right?
Hmm.
Where it's like you can talk to someone on the street and it, I don't know, it's chances are they're gay, or if they're not, that they're going to just be very friendly to you. And that was just completely different from Utah. That was a very foreign experience to me. And so I came a few times, kind of fell in love with it, met some really wonderful people who are now very close chosen family, but had a friend who essentially told me in June of 2022, he was like, hey, I'm having a roommate who is going to be taking like a leave of absence to do a tech internship overseas. And would you like to come and sublease his room and just see what it would be like to potentially live here? I think, you've thought about it before. And so I did it and never went back. I lived here for 2 months and I was like, all right, this is my forever home. And yeah, I've just been kicking around Castro ever since.
Well, it's like looking at your Instagram, it looks like you're enjoying your time there, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's been such a positive reception. I think one of my favorite things about San Francisco, which is kind of a drag on it as well, is the cost of living is the highest in the United States. It is so expensive to live here that if you are not a tech worker, which I'm not, the people that you meet that are nightlife, drag queens, go-go boys, artists of any kind, any medium, you have to be performing at such a expert level to make it here that you just run into people who are firing out of all cylinders and doing some of the most amazing work you will ever see in your life, like art installations. And you'll meet like the best wig designer in the country because to live here you have to be the best,
Mm.
like. And it's very inspiring to see the human condition of people finding a way to make it work.
Well, looking at your resume of stuff you put in your text, you
Oh.
say he's also works extensively in the queer nightlife as a sex venue owner, go-go, DJ, and bartender. There's a
For
lot going
sure.
on there. How do you sex venue owner? Do you own a venue?
I do, yes. Yeah, I own a venue here. It's called Offline SF. And kind of the idea with it, I opened it in March, was I want things to kind of take inspiration from San Francisco's cruisy history in being offline, right? A lot of what we do now is on online spaces, and the issue with that, as stated so beautifully by one of my favorite drag queens, Ben de la Creme, is that nothing will ever replace in-person face to face, whatever. No, not even like Black Mirror, Twilight Zone, the best virtual reality simulation that you can possibly make will ever replace being in person.
Hmm.
And so again, even if it's like you're not here to fuck, like, we kind of have separated it out into two levels for the club. And so the upstairs is kind of like, it's still cruisy, but it's a little bit more chill. You can kind of sit on a couch, hang out. And then the downstairs is very like dungeony. We got like the slings and everything. And so it's a wonderful way to, meet someone new and connect. And I think express one of the things that is so innately human in terms of what things that we need, which is sex, right?
Hmm.
And especially here where everybody has like six roommates. I'm lucky to live alone. Not everyone can host all the time. And then, that's the gay dilemma is, can you host? Can you host? No, like, and so having that third place, I think is something that I'm really passionate about trying to cultivate for the city and make it this experience that's accessible and can kind of channel that cruisy San Francisco past.
That's really cool. So you said it was called Offline, which I think is a really, really cool name. So what kind of what's in the basement then? What's going on downstairs?
Down in the basement, we've got St. Andrew's Cross. We've got a couple like fuck benches. We have a huge dungeon bed, which is actually Mr. Christopher's old dungeon bed. And so it's
So
got a lot of,
well
yes,
used then.
well loved. She's got a lot of mileage on her. We've got two slings. We have this really big hanging like bench thing that's like an edging table where you can lay on it and stick your dick through it, and like, so it's a lot of equipment, and we're building more all the time. I am trying to partner with more local rope artists to be able to do more rope events there because it's all exposed I beams in the basement. So
Ah,
it's great for tie off points, great for eyelets. Like, so
how
yeah.
was it setting up a club like that in the climate we're in? Because I'm assuming you have to have some sort of sex license and stuff like that. How has that been getting all that pushed through?
So with San Francisco, the way that it is right now, we have a new mayor who I'll go out and say I think he's been doing a great job. He is very, very pro business right now, meaning like
Hmm.
he is not trying to penalize anybody because San Francisco really suffered during the pandemic and it's had a very tough time rebuilding. It's always been a boom town. It's a gold rush town. So anywhere that relies on tourism and people being there when the pandemic happened and everyone wanted to be anywhere but here, the push to bring people back has been led by this ethos of do not punish people for doing things. Do not punish people for trying to have businesses here. So it's actually been surprisingly easy. The other thing is they are very hands off with queer nightlife right now. Like I'm trying not to like spill anybody's secrets here, but it's not really secrets because it's on posters everywhere. Technically, the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, it is very, very illegal to have sex and alcohol in the same place. We don't do alcohol, so that was the easy thing. But for like local bars here in Castro, they have things like, underwear nights where there's boys in jock straps. Technically, that's illegal. They have, there's a bar right next to me that now has a dark room, which is, more of the European kind of style of things where, yeah, like if there were a raid or something, that would be grounds to completely, shut the business down, pull their license and fine them a huge amount. But
Mm.
it doesn't happen. That just doesn't, and I'm going to just cross my fingers and just say, I hope it never does. I think we have some really wonderful people in power right now. The district supervisor for Castro is a great champion for, essentially keeping enforcement out of places where it doesn't need to be. You know,
Hmm.
we got a lot bigger problems in San Francisco, than
Then a
some
couple
queer
of
people.
couple of queer people having sex in a dungeon somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. So luckily, for the bars, I feel like if it was going to happen to somebody, it would be the bars because they're being very public about it and they're posting like, horse hung go-go boys, hot sluts, come fuck, and order a drink at the bar. For us, offline is also I feel a lot of passion about affinity spaces. And so I think there's a place and time where things need to be extremely accepting of all identities, and it's been one of the things as we've lost, I think over the last 20 years, 73% of gay bars in the United States have closed. Castro's really felt that as well. And so as we're all integrating into the same spaces where now there's like, all members of the queer community are all using the same spaces, which is great. And I think it's made us a lot stronger and friendlier with each other. I still think that there is space and respect that can and should be had for affinity spaces, which is like, hey, this is a venue where for this night we're doing men who have sex with men night, and if you would like to throw a party, by all means, let's do it. Let's have whatever identity that you'd like to have. We can have a free for all night. We can do whatever. There's space and resources enough for everyone. But lately, I've felt sometimes like that ethos is a little demonized, right? Where it's
Mm.
like no, everything needs to be for everyone all the time, and that's how you end up with bachelorette parties ruined in gay bars.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You don't want Mary Jane at the end of the bar, just like, oh, look at your cock.
yes, girl. Like
Mm-mm.
I've never been treated worse as a go-go boy on a go-go box than by bachelorette parties. Like
No boundaries.
no boundaries. I'm talking 3-inch acrylic nail up the ass. Like no, 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 diva.
No,
That's
that's not
not what
cute.
this is.
That
No,
is
it's
not
not cute.
cute.
But she's the birthday girl. She's
Well,
getting
then you
wet.
shouldn't put your finger up in someone's a strange man's bums. Surely you should be with your husband, I
Yeah,
coming husband. That's
rough.
terrible.
Yeah. So that's another reason why I wanted to do offline was just affinity spaces. And I have been talking to some friends lately who want to do like a lesbian party there, and I'm like, great, let's do an all lesbian night. That would be fucking wonderful.
Also, most gay men would be shocked what the lesbians get up to anyway, because their pain
Oh
threshold is
yeah,
so different to men.
exactly. Yeah, but yeah, it's curious to me. I think there's still this like unspoken kind of rule where we're not supposed to talk about if you're gay, and especially if you're like newer to the community, you're just supposed to be comfortable with all identities being in the room, right? And for,
Mm.
for some gay men, that could be very frightening. Like if you have two lesbians going at it in the corner and you're in the same room as them and expecting to that just doesn't work for everyone. And that's okay. We shouldn't expect it to work for everyone. Sex is a very intimate and personal thing, and it's a very different thing than accepting everyone at a bar, which we should be doing and luckily are doing a pretty good job of.
Well, that sounds like you're on the right path with this bar, and I fully agree with you. Certain nights for certain things, and that's okay. That's not excluding anyone because you can do theme nights where those people are included. So I fully agree with you. Not every night is for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So how did you get into being a go-go boy?
So that was an interesting one. I had a really wonderful friend, AJ Huff, who also goes by the name Flash Thundercock. He was MIR
Beautiful,
2023.
poetic name, yeah.
And it certainly is a Thundercock. Oh my god. He is one of like the absolute powerhouse nightlife queer organizers that we have. We've got a couple really big like rebel rousers in SF, and AJ is one of them, and also has a lot more prominence due to his MIR title now. Incredible person, so gentle, so kind. Was one of the people that really took me under his wing in exploring San Francisco nightlife when I first arrived here, just because nightlife in Salt Lake City, it's just not even on the same. I mean, I'm sure in hindsight, looking back, if I could time travel, I would look at myself and watch myself walk into a bar and just laugh, and I would be like, "Oh, this poor baby boy does not know. He does not know. Why are you wearing a button down to the cruising bar, baby? No, that's not cute."
Because that's what you were told to do.
Yeah, yeah. So, but he really took me under his wing, and after kind of getting more acclimated and more comfortable to being here, he was like, "Hey, like I don't know if you would ever, consider being a go-go, but I think that you would be really good at it." The other thing that he observed about me is that at that point I had already been a bartender, a waiter, and I love hospitality, and so he was saying, for you to be in a party, having a job to do, like either as a coat check or yeah, any of those other DJ, anything, that makes it a lot easier for me to be in a space because I can have a social interaction, have
Mm,
it be pleasant, and then have something to kind of snap back to be like, okay, well, I'm going to change the next track, or I'm going to, grab
mm.
another bottle of Tito's, or I'm going to whatever. So you never feel like you are stuck. There's always a kind way to keep the momentum of your night moving. So I thought about it and I was really nervous, but it was on a night that he was throwing a party that we knew was going to be very slow. I think it was like right on the week of a holiday like Thanksgiving or Christmas where all of San Francisco leaves anyway. So he was like, girl, there's going to be no one there. I'll give you like a couple $100. Like it'll be pushing at you out of your comfort zone. If it's really overwhelming, you can leave at any time. Like I'll be there at your side the whole time to support you. And I ended up going and having a really, really good time.
Mm.
And then after that, then there was a number of other bars locally that started reaching out to me, and I started doing modeling campaigns for Mr. S as well. And a lot of bars were reaching out for that, and then that kind of spread to like some bars in Chicago reached out. I'm going to Minneapolis next month because they reached out to me to come and fly me out to Gogo for their first leather pride that they're doing there. And so it's kind of spiraled into this thing where it's something that I'm doing quite a bit now.
Well, yeah, I see the pictures you're posting on your Instagram. I'm not complaining. They're very nice. So you also mentioned that you have a vast career in BDSM. Can you tell me a little bit more about that kind of porn? How is it exploring that kind of porn? At least were you experienced when you entered that arena, or did you learn whilst doing it?
Interestingly, I think for me, it's one of those things where I compare it almost to knowing that I was gay from a very early time, and especially even just being Mormon, where I did not hear the word gay or describe have someone that was described to me as that was even a thing that existed
Mm,
until I was probably 13 or 14. Like so up to that point, I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like there was no language or construct for me to even know that was even a thing that could happen. And I feel the same way about BDSM. Interestingly, I think for whatever reason, the way that my brain is wired for intimacy, right, is that has just always been me. That has always been. I don't know if it's something you're born with. I hope that someday we'll have the answers to the universe, and oh, that's why I can put an equation for A plus B will always equal C, and this is why I'm like this. But for right now, we're kind of swimming in the great cosmic soup of mystery, which is also kind of fun. But yeah, I had a really wonderful opportunity. I think moving out when I was 16, I grew up very quickly, especially recognizing that I was in a cult very early. I can remember that Mormons baptize their kids at 8 years old, and I can remember getting baptized and knowing I'm in trouble. Like this is not for me. This is a cult. Like anyway, yeah. And I think growing up really quickly, maturing really quickly, knowing what I was and knowing what I wanted, and then moving out really early and kind of entering my adult years reinforced kind of what I was wanting and what I wanted to try, things that I wanted to experience, things that I found out that I liked, that I didn't like. And then pretty much by the time that I was 18, I was like schmovin'. I was like, all right, cool. Like I entered like a long-term DS relationship where I feel like I learned a lot. And again, that's kind of how I got involved with a lot of the organizations in Utah. I learned a lot of really good lessons from that. I learned a lot of really bad lessons from that. But again, like I can't be in resistance to it because I'm so grateful for where it landed me. And then once I had gotten out of that relationship, I explored a lot more like sex work and porn and doing work in that realm. I kind of started to fall in love with hypnosis, which was something that was just kind of starting to gain an identity. Like the
mm.
terms like gooning and baiting hadn't hit mainstream yet. And now it's such a meme. Now it's a joke and everyone's like, the straight people know about gooning. But at that point, that hadn't really been a thing yet. And so I was exploring that and started to do some voice work, which I was anonymously posting under a different name that started to gain a lot of traction on this vid, kind of, spread around through a couple different sites. And that opened new doors and opportunities. And yeah, all of that kind of led to where I am now. So when I moved to San Francisco and I met Amp and Christopher, and we were talking and we became very fast friends, I think due to obviously Christopher having a very long life of BDSM and Amp a little younger, but same thing, just
Mm.
fascinated by sex, a true self-described sex nerd. And I think, yeah, it was three of a kind, it was a royal flush. And so yeah, then since being in San Francisco now, especially in a more liberal atmosphere, I've been able to continue to explore BDSM, different kinds of intimacy, sex work, a lot more of the hypnosis kind of thing that I feel like that's kind of the main brand I feel like of what I'm known for now.
So you mentioned sex worker with sober curious people. Can you explain that a little bit more? How would that work? I'm assuming what you mean is you have clients who are trying to be sober and they need someone to explore it with in a safe environment. And in this case, it would be you as a sex worker.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of the work that I do kind of juggles between like rent men and rent masseur. Another thing for me is the obviously I love a lot of really intense kinks. I love fisting. I love all of that. But there's nothing that will replace intentional, cultivated, energetic exchange and whatever form that takes. And so that's why I really love massage. For me, like the true, like, I don't know, it sounds a little nerdy, but like making somebody a playlist and being like, come over, I made a playlist for you. I got your favorite tea that you can have before we start. And then, like, do you want to explore like some rope bondage? I can strap, this part of you down to the table. We can, explore what that sensation is kind of like. And it's interesting. A lot of the people, and I kind of treat it like HIPAA. Like I'll never share. I always tell clients, if I see you in public, I will
Oh, yeah,
never make
yeah,
the
yeah.
first move. But if you want to say hi to B, then I will absolutely give you a hug, and I'd be so happy to see you.
Mm.
And it's interesting to me the number of like big old, wonderful gay sluts that are like in the Soma scene, which is kind of the leather cultural district of SF, and they're out there going to the circuit parties, doing the drugs, getting fucked, doing all the things, and will just like collapse in a puddle and cry on a massage table when someone is being like really, you're like right there, your body weight is on them, you're breathing really close to their ear, you're like focusing your full presence into just trying to make them feel good. And that's a completely different thing than just trying to get rough, rocky railed by as many as many
Mm.
dicks as possible in a night while you're doing bump after bump after bump. It's just gay men are so tender, and I really have this like deep affinity for this duality. It's quite literally duality of man, where it's kind of like the Velvet Rage talks about, where
Mm.
a lot of the ways that we seek validation, purging that dirtiness that we feel through, this it's the Blue Bailey thing too, right? Like doing scary or anonymous scenes with trying to harvest as much intimacy as we possibly can.
Mm.
But yeah, having those really quiet, more cultivated moments where it's just one on one can often be like really, really transformative.
That, do you know what? Whilst you were talking and you explained that scene with having someone on a massage table, just like the intimacy, the power of that intimacy, it really speaks to me. I had the experience recently. No fault at anyone here, but I was trying to set up a sex date with someone, and I respect boundaries. They have a partner, so there's some rules and do. But one of the rules was no cuddling and no staying over, which,
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, I respect, but it's not what I need.
Hmm.
So I made the choice of going, that's all fine. I would love to beat the shit out of you, have fun with you, dump my load in you, all this. But I also need intimacy.
Hmm.
Because he was very much like, oh, I do that with the boyfriend. It's like, yeah, but I don't have a boyfriend to go home to do that with.
Hmm.
So intimacy, if you gave me two choices, have a cuddle, having popcorn, watching a good movie, or beating the shit out of someone with where it's just cold, I'd probably go for the film and the cuddles.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think also I think the older I get, I wouldn't categorize myself as dimmy, but I definitely crave more connection and more intimacy than random rampant sex.
Yeah. Yeah. I am so fascinated as well just with the relationship of demisexuality. And again, it's this thing of having language to describe it now. I think a lot of people are going like, wait a minute, maybe a lot of this also has to do with the Venn diagram of kinksters and neurodivergency, where it's all fine and good to have, all of that. The reason that you're going about something to be harvesting intimacy, but people coming to this realization and this full circle moment about themselves where they're realizing that it's like love and intimacy is not something that there is a finite resource of that you need to
Mm.
just like take. Like that's like cum dump mentality, which is hot. Again,
Mhm.
confused boner. But that there is another way, and that both are valid, and you can be in different moods or headspaces for different things at the same time. But the reason why you're going after it can come from a place of whole instead of a place of whole.
Yes, yes. Like for me, oh, the amount of times where like this is where Grindr's not very good. The amount of times that it's like, do you want to come over for a cuddle? And then most people was like, is your dick hard? I was just like, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking
Mm-hmm.
you, do you want to come for a cuddle?
Mm-hmm.
And if something happens, great. If it doesn't, fine.
Mm-hmm.
That is okay. It doesn't, I think for me, at least now, it's more the intimacy over a hard cock or a cum load or whatever. As said, confused boner like you say, but that's also still hot. But yeah, a cuddle is much more fun for me at nowadays. If it's a cuddle in full lever, absolutely, even better.
Yeah.
But it's just, oh no, no, intimacy definitely over quantity for
Yeah.
sure.
I also think, at least for me, I have this desire of for others who also contain multitudes because it's self validating to see that exhibited in other people as well. One of my favorite sex therapists is named Esther Perel. She has one of the best TED talks I think of all time, and it's kind of about the modern world and dating. It's where previously it was about like stability and reproduction, and your life expectancy was like 40 years, and so figure it out. And now it's like I need someone that gives me mystery but also gives me stability. I need someone who's alluring but not like too overbearing, and I need someone who's like ready to be rough and like masculine sometimes. And I also need, so you're asking all these things. Also, you live twice as long, and mental health is stigmatized, so good luck, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like that heightens the value to me of having a cuddle, having an intimate moment, then having that connection where you gain this depth in the tank for the intimacy that you have with someone, and then the kink on top of that after you've had that connection. Now it means something. Now it's representative of something that you've shared before. You are proving that you contain multitudes.
Absolutely. So, how did you start your own sobriety journey?
I think for me, a lot of it had to do with, I guess, just the negative repercussions of drinking. I consider myself extraordinarily lucky, just because I have never really done like hard drugs, like hard party drugs. For me, it was always pretty much just around drinking because it's what's accessible and what's around
Mm.
us. And I think maybe I'm just someone who's ultra sensitive to hangovers, but that feeling of just like, oh God, it's terrible. And then interestingly, I think the universe pushed things that were funnily enough kink or leather coated into my life that altered what I was willing to accept for myself. So getting really into motorcycle riding. I have a history where I had an uncle who died in a drunk driving accident on a motorcycle. So I just knew, for me, even if you have one drink, you cannot get on your motorcycle.
Mm.
So for me, suddenly bar nights became, not that. It was, but I wanted to take my motorcycle to the bar because who doesn't want to pull up on like,
Oh,
your little shadow and like,
absolutely.
like that's hot. That's great.
Living your fantasy, just like coming off your bike in full levers, taking the Ray-Bans off. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a hot feeling for sure. So that was part of it. Was like, well, you can't have both, so I'm going to choose the thing that matters more to me. And then moving to San Francisco and kind of having this awakening of what matters to me for like body transformational stuff, which is also honestly tied a lot to some kind of interesting trauma of going through wilderness conversion therapy as a young gay boy when I was 15 and 16, and having food be used as a tool to either make you say that you weren't gay or make you lie basically to say that
Mm.
the program was working. So when food and water become like a carrot and a stick to be like, okay, well, if you're not cooperating, then we're just not going to feed you. I think that gave me a really severe eating disorder for a hot minute. That's why I think I ended up as this really tiny
Mm.
6'1" string bean twink that was like 110 pounds. I was like, you could see, like bones. Like it was really quite frightening for a while. And healing from that meant for me pursuing bodybuilding. It makes me feel differently about myself. It puts distance between me and that version of myself. Again, it's like the motorcycle. I realize that you can't have both. One is counterintuitive to
Mm.
what you are trying to do. So if I'm feeling absolutely sloshed, gross, drinking, I just drank, 1,800 calories of shit the night before and I'm waking up hammered, like, you're not going to go to the gym. It just doesn't feel good, right? So I think that was also a big part of it was my, in a weird way, the like two kinks that I had were the kick in the butt to kind of look more into, "Hey, what is this whole sobriety thing? Why are the people in my life that are sober so happy? What is this?"
It's all a front. We're miserable.
It's just, yeah,
It is like you like one of the things I didn't do when I was still using was I wasn't creative. I didn't do singing, acting, anything. I didn't do any of that for 9 years. As
yeah,
soon as I stopped, I started doing Real Clear Fetish and I did a podcast. Now I'm in the chorus. It just I don't fucking have time to run around being high on something. It's like, oh
yeah,
my God, I'm constantly editing something on my computer. It's
yeah,
it's the bane of my life at this moment. I don't get me wrong, it's my hobby and I really enjoy it. I get something out of it, and I'm sure you do as well when you sit and do
yes.
your work. So it's I wouldn't have the life I have now if I was still out there. I probably would be dead, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the other interesting thing that a lot of gay men share, and not everyone. There's not a catch all, but I recently I read a lot. I love reading, and I read this book this year by Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the woman who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, and it's her newest book. It's called All the Way to the River, and in it she's describing this relationship that she had with her wife, and her wife receiving a terminal cancer diagnosis, and she was a junkie her whole life, and that leading to a relapse that was very, very, very challenging for them. And it starts to call into question a lot of like, well, what is it all for if you're dying anyway? What is the worthiness of being sober if tomorrow's not guaranteed anyhow? And a lot about what that means for intimacy, what that means for trust in your partner, the mental gymnastics that we are able to do for enabling ourselves and our loved ones. Really, really difficult, fascinating, hard read, but rooting itself in love addiction was kind of the center of it, where she's like, my wife was a substance addict, and here's the things that she loved, and my thing was love addiction. So we were a toxic combination because
Hmm.
one was the enabler and one was like, the one that needed to be enabled. And I think love addiction is very common among gay men because we were so starved for it oftentimes from men in our lives. There's the classic Freudian, like, your father is the first man who you'll learn to love, and whether that goes well or badly will determine how things go. Who knows what's real and
Oh, I
fake.
definitely have daddy issues because of an absent father. Not
Oh, I
because of
bet.
my dad's choice, but yeah, let's not even go into that. But there definitely daddy issues there. So I fully recognize that.
Yeah, I don't have daddy issues. I have a daddy subscription.
Where can I sign up?
Where can I sign up for the daddy magazine subscription?
Oh, do you know what? In the last couple of months, I had this lovely interaction with a daddy at Pride here in London. I'm not going to out them on the podcast because they're fairly well known. And we had just this lovely daddy son session, and I was just like, oh, this feels right. Why does this feel right? Why does it make my stomach tingle when someone calls me boy or son?
Mhm.
That being said, I'm still a dom, I'm still a sir, I can still be daddy to someone else. But some like if I was to date someone, I would probably love to have a daddy as my partner, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I have been in a relationship with a daddy at this point for it'll be 2 years in March, and I think that's just again how I'm wired. I think a lot of that also has to do with other. I'm 26 now. I moved here when I was 22, and people who are around my age group, the things that they value were just not the same, right? And
Mhm.
that's where I kind of started to associate the vapid nature of party culture with. I didn't feel like people were pursuing the best versions of themselves,
Mhm.
right? And that's something that I am really interested in always doing. That's something that matters a lot to me. And so being surrounded with, people, and now someone who's very, relationship intimacy close with me, that encourages and wants that. And, he got a new electric bike recently that has like a little trailer, and he sent me a picture of it, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go for a ride, little buddy? You want to be a good boy?" And I was like, "Ah, shut the fuck up, bitch.
Oh,
You're going to make me
oh.
cream my jorts."
Oh, you just sit there in your little Hi.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, I'm little buddy, that's me.
Oh, he just missed patting you on the head.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, even you telling that to me just makes me smile because that is lovely. I would love that interaction. I would say the States has the best daddies. I'm not downing UK daddies, but you have a surplus of daddies over there. If it wasn't for your political climate, I would move to the States because I think I would have more luck. But yeah, it's yeah. You have some lovely daddies over, especially in San Francisco.
I feel like
Absolutely.
I'm excited to become a daddy myself because I mean I'm already like dom a lot with hypno stuff and whatnot, but once I'm actually embodying the physical body of a daddy, like just knowing all the buttons, because I don't think those are going to change. I think that we're always going to have, similar wiring. There's always going to be new boys coming in with daddy issues, unfortunately. And just like being able to walk up to a boy and be like, "Hey champ, how's it going? How you doing, big guy?
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Hey tiger, hey sport." Like, oh god.
yeah. Well, keep saying it. Keep saying it. It's
Yeah,
great. It's
yeah.
great. So with the hypno, how's I'm very curious about hypno. I've done semi hypno once, and you probably know Adam, who lives in
Yes,
San
yeah.
Francisco. We did a little session together when he was over last, and I fucking loved it. It was a very low level. I've never done hypno before, but there is definitely a part of me that's like, yeah, I want to try that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
How did you find out? Just to round the episode off, we could just talk a little bit about the hypno. So how did you get into that?
I think originally what I've noticed about myself is you can have all the ingredients of a great seed. You can have all the things that you like. You can say, I like chastity, I like flogging, I like electro, I like this. You can have someone show up with all of those things ready to go on a cart, prepped, awesome. If there is not words there, if there is not a verbal aspect, I
Hmm.
can't do it. I feel like if someone is just dead silent, I feel like I am a burden. I feel like I am, like I can't read where they're at. I can't tell where the energy is. And so I think having the constant verbal reaffirmation is the kind of the key to any kink for me personally. And I think I discovered that pretty early on. And so I started to find every once in a while, because again, hypno was very new, or like gooning was very like very not really a thing yet, and there would be certain videos or certain, like typically daddy boy scenes that were like the daddy was very verbal and very like affirmative and being like, oh, you're being such a good boy for me, well, why don't you do this, why don't you do this. And I started to realize that there were no, of the very small amount of hypno that did exist, there was nothing that centered around fisting, which to me is arguably the most mentally engaging kink that there is, because you are
Hmm.
literally, yeah, like fighting your body to be able to achieve this thing, right? So it's all about relaxation. It's all about the reaffirmation of verbal engagement from your top that's going to get you there. And so like I wrote down kind of like an erotic story that I thought was hot, and then changed everything to be like a second person perspective. So I just took the same story and wrote it as like, you are going to do this, you are going to relax for me, you are going to. And then I went on my shitty little like Samsung Galaxy 7, went to the voice memos, recorded it, and put it on this vid. And looking back on it, it sounds crunchy. It's, I'm like, oh girl. But again, I mean, I was just starting to learn. So it's everyone's, you got to be bad at something before you get good at something.
Or you
But
should look at my podcast from the first season. It's a pure like screen grab, and I haven't edited anything. There's no intros. There's nothing. It's just video.
and again, like that, I think that goes for anything in life. And again, that goes for sobriety too. You got to be bad at something before you get good at something. That's just how it goes. No one is really born super perfect at something right off the
No.
bat. But I got a lot of engagement and a lot of traction from that. And suddenly there was just like a flood of emails and DMs and people being like, I've never seen anything like this. This has helped me so much. I play all my toys to this every single night, and I have for years. Like, and that felt really, really good to feel like something that I had built and created, and it was really a part of me because I wrote the story as something that I wish would be said to me. So it was like my love letter to myself that I was now communicating to the great beyond. It was almost like, yeah, having that validation from other people enjoying it was a way of saying you are okay. this thing that you wrote that's very taboo and very dirty and very, like what some people would get, it's kind of fucked up because it's a little, it's like, it's very BDSM. It was very reaffirming to be like, this is great that this is who you are. Not only is this
After
okay,
we're
it sounds
done,
good.
you're sending me this audio clip. I need to have a listen
No,
and
it's so
have a listen.
crunchy. It sounds like it
Well,
was
send me
recorded on a
send it
PlayStation.
send something newer then. I have to
Okay,
have a listen.
that's great. I
For
have
sure.
some newer stuff that I'm definitely can share.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to round the episode off, I always kind of try to ask a little fun question or gear related. What is your favorite piece of gear?
My favorite piece of gear, I think two come to mind immediately. First is my microphone. Like just because again, so much of what I do is verbal, and even like when I'm doing a massage, I'll do like my soundboard and my vocal modulator, and I'll have a collar with a clip-on microphone, and I'll put headphones on the sub so I can talk to them and be doing like trigger sound effects or whatever as the massage is progressing. So I consider that a piece of gear. It's something that I'm using to
Hmm.
heighten the scene in kind of a tech related kind of way. My other favorite is a percussion gun, like a massage gun. Have you ever seen those? The one that had like the little ball on the
Yeah, yeah,
end,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, oh, oh God, like sticking your fist into somebody and then just like
Oh
putting it
yeah.
right against the bone of your
Yeah,
wrist.
yeah.
Oh, the number of caged boys that I have made squirt and almost hit my ceiling this October with that. That's a great piece of gear right there.
You're doing God's work to make them come.
It's like you can hold on another just another 7 days. You're almost
Yeah,
there.
almost there, almost there. And just to end the episode, if anyone's watched or listened and they're really connected with something you said, where can they get a hold of you?
So I kind of have been going all sheets to the wind lately, just in terms of who I am, and like I'm okay with people associating mindfuck and Samson. Like those are one and the same to me. It's like you're just seeing a different side of me. So if
Mhm.
you want to message me on anything, you can talk about anything, anywhere. Just don't get my accounts banned. But yeah,
Yes,
like yeah, don't be like commenting something crazy on Instagram. You'll get me banned. But yeah, DMs on Instagram at Sampson Nightly, SampsonNightly, and then on just for fans, I'm Mindfuck on Bluesky and Twitter. I'm Mindfuck. So yeah, you can DM me anywhere. I try to be pretty good about checking my stuff, especially on Just for Fans. I'm always really good at making sure to prioritize those messages.
fantastic. And just to end the episode, if there was a piece of advice you would give to someone, what would that be?
I think two things can be true at once. If the world was meant to be black and white, why is there color everywhere I look?
That's a really good one. That's really good. Thank you very much for coming up to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It's been absolutely amazing to talk to you.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Fantastic. So this was this week's episode with Samson. It's been absolute joy to talk to him about hypno, escorting, his new plays offline. Go and check it out. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time, and go out and be kinky, be sexy, be sober, and have a good time. Bye.